What's up, guys? So I'm Chuck Rucker. Ruck's Place is the podcast, and today I'm doing the episode from this auditorium, right? There's nobody here. It's just me and you guys. So one to many is the idea, I guess, in this case. So let's jump right into it, right? It's a Monday, right? And Monday is doing what Monday does, right? There a lot going on. It's gloomy in California today, and it's kind of how my mood is. It feels a little gloomy, right? I'm out. I did some showings today. Beautiful couple came by this magnificent property that needs some work, but they kind of had some mixed emotions too. It's like the day is the day. Monday's doing what Monday does, right? For many of us, right? But past all of that, I want to get into something really quickly. Like on Friday, I wanted to do the first episode in a while from the sofa, and I got going on it, but then decided that, I ran out of time almost just to keep it a buck. I come out of time. I have a Friday drop that I get out. It's on all your streaming platforms, and many of you have come to realize and come to like it, come to love it. And not just many of you guys, a lot of you guys around the world are now paying attention and watching my podcast or listening to my podcast. So here's, in a nutshell, what I'm about. If this is your first time seeing me, right? I wrote 3 books, to be honest. One was called Step-by-Step Recipes Done Your Way, which was kind of a book that meant a lot to me, but apparently didn't mean a lot to a lot of you. Only a few people picked up that book, and it's like a keepsake book, which the idea behind it was that you write down recipes in a book, handwritten. Usually you give it to your grandparents, somebody that you love, the recipes that they made, the food that they made, the banana pudding, the way they cooked a steak, a burger, however, whatever their specialty was, that sweet potato pie to make you curl your toes under the table when you're eating it, right? Yeah. And the idea was to write that recipe down, and instead of writing it on a piece of paper, you'd have it in a book, a keepsake book that you could store what the rest of your books, right? Or the rest of your recipe books. We tend to write down things on a piece of paper. My grandmother would hand the recipe to me, put it in a drawer back when I get home, and that was the end of it. Probably get balled up and thrown in the trash for the rest of, when spring cleaning comes around. And my wife just decides to throw things away like she often does, right? She throws everybody else's stuff away, me and the kids, but never her own stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But no, she does. No. So anyway, that was the idea behind the book. So it could be passed down from generation to generation. A lot of people thought the idea was amazing. I thought the idea was amazing, right? And it just made sense. It was like common sense. It made a lot of sense to do it that way. Write it down in a book. We rarely throw our books away. I'm pretty sure you got books with dust on them. I had law books for years, just collecting dust. I went to school thinking I was going to be a lawyer, and then decided to have kids and throw away everything that I love to do, like golf, like study law. You know what I mean? So I graduated with a political science degree, and I got an AA in liberal studies. So anyway, law school was the next on my list to do. That's next thing to tackle in my educational career. And I got happy and started having children. So my children took priority over that, which is perfectly fine, right? I got into real estate. And in real estate, some things kind of took place, just learning, that learning curve, you pay to play. And I paid to play. And I got burned. That's what that meant. I got burned. I did residential sales for a while. And my mentor at the time, beautiful girl, beautiful lady, taught me the business, and really taught me the business, not just the contracts and how to present myself. She taught me how to get caught up in a web and get used. And so I wrote a book about my first deal, which is called How to Survive Your First Year of Real Estate, which is an amazing short read. It's about 82 pages in the book, and it just gives you a breakdown of what I went through in order to have still doing, a career in real estate 21 years later, right? And I, like so many of us do in the business, go through a lot on your first transaction, on your first deal. You don't know what you're doing. You're scared. You go through all of these emotions. Things don't work out, then they do work out, then they don't work out, then they do work out. And sometimes they really don't work out for so many people, but it just so happened, things worked out for me. And, but I went through hell and I put it down in a book so you guys could read it. It's a story about perseverance, resilience. It's a story of creativity, a story of the comeback kid, so to speak, and then having to eat shit and be okay with it. Get up, lick your wounds, and go try it again. That's exactly what I did, and I decided to put it in a book. And then I went around and I told everybody about the book. And I told all of the realtors that I would just see them in an open house and say, hey guys, I know your first transaction, you probably went through some hoops. You had to jump through some hoops to get it done. And if you did, what better to do than to put it down in the pages of a book? Nobody wanted to do that, right? They were, oh man, that's crazy. Really? That's going to be cool. I would love to see it as I was writing it. And I was like, yeah, most people don't listen, and that's fine. And at that time, most people, why would they listen, right? It's like so many people that watch. You go to a seminar, the guy's telling you exactly what to do. Here's my 12-step program. If you do this, follow these 12 steps, things will change in your life. They are definitely telling you, well, some of them are telling you the truth. Things will change in your life if you give those steps 100% of your effort, almost, right? There's very little room in the margins for error. And if you can stay within the body of what they're telling you to do, then chances are you might find some success, but you're going to learn some lessons. Here's the thing that I really want to say today. Anything that's worth building, you're going to go through some things. You're going to have to pay a price. And that is just life. You got to pay a price for what it is, whatever it is that you want. You have to go through the steps. It's like so many of us will pray for things to happen in our lives without actually going through from A to Z, right? We don't want to go from A to Z. But if you do decide to go from A to Z, then you find out that what you have to go through, with the ups and the downs and the failures and the successes, the 2 steps forward, 5 steps backwards, it feels sometimes. You actually have to go through those things in order to be able to help people with the objections that they may give you when you're trying to help them. In order to help people navigate through the pitfalls and the holes that you yourself put yourself through in order to get the education to actually give somebody a proper education of whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you're selling, whatever it is that you're telling them to take your 12-step program. How are you going to sell a 12-step program to help somebody when you haven't gone through the 12 steps? ChatGPT today will give you 12 steps of anything that you tell it to, right? It'll definitely lay it out for you, tell it to go sell it, right? And then when you get questioned about, well, what did you do when you got to step 3? Or what happened when you got to step 5? Or did you even get to step 7, right? What did you do to pivot? Or I got to step 7 and now I'm stuck. What am I supposed to do, right? My friends, You don't want to get caught up in that, because then you've wasted your time, you wasted your energy, you wasted your money, and you don't get to get the result that you signed up for. And I get it. Some of you guys, and just like myself, sign up for a program and I get to the first step and decide, you know what, I don't want to go through with this. No. This is way out of what I thought I was signing up for. And you don't go through with it and you fail, right? Or you get to step 3 and you run out of gas. You get to step 4 and you're done completely. You go, you put it, you tuck it away somewhere, it picks up some dust, nothing in your life changes. And now you're right back out, picking out that program again, getting started again. And then you fail. You start, you fail. You start, you fail. You start, you fail. And listen, hey, that's just human nature. That's just how we're wired, a lot of us, right? If we don't have a dire need sometime to just make something happen for ourselves, if we're not in such a point of pressure and pain in our lives, chances are we'll figure out an adjustment to whatever it is that we're going through, and we'll just stick there and somehow find some way to be content in that space, in that place. And years later, we're still there. I left, and I recommend for all of you young folks out there who watch me, I definitely recommend that you leave the state that your parents raised you in. Just leave. Get up and leave. If you're at an age, and that's just my advice, you know, I'm no expert in your life or in how your parents raised you, but I'm saying if you want something different and you're in a situation where you feel like nothing is changing here, nothing ever changes here, like I was mentioning before jumping into that, I can go back home in Michigan, where I'm in California now. I can go back home in Michigan and still there's dust under the bed that my old Playboy books or my record player was there. And I could find some of my friends who have all that dust on them still running around the same neighborhood, living in the same area, doing the same things, and struggling, right? Because they didn't get out and test themselves to see that 12-step program that would have gotten them out of that situation, right? It's just a fact. You got to get up and go explore. Get up, and if it's not something that you can find where you live, right, under your parents or under your grandparents or where the family is, because we tend to stay where the family is too, then you got to get out and move and just go see what the world is about. You know, take a trip. I tell my kids all the time, get on a plane and go over to London, go over to Italy, go over to France, you know, go over to Mexico, go somewhere and see what life is like in those other places. Now, go to a different state. Now, there is something about leaving the fabric that you were raised in. When you leave the state, you kind of create a distance between you. And if you're not the type that already is somebody that moves and shakes, you want to know what's going on everywhere. You're curious about what's going on in different places. Then you could get complacent and get stuck. Like you were stuck at home, you can get stuck in a different state somewhere. And the distance between families, the fabric of the family becomes unraveled. It does. And so that is one of the things that I can tell you for sure. I've had that experience as well. I waited a little too long to go home until people started to transition, which, you know, it was my fault. Even though I'm a mover and shaker, as you guys could see, I just decided that I wanted to move and shake in different places. I wanted to go overseas a few times, which I did. I wanted to go to different cities within the state of California and, you know, live life in different cities like Pasadena, like Beverly Hills, like La Cañada, these places that people had way more money than I had, right? But I wanted to be there. And I was able to be there because California presents a different type of situation from the environment and how do you say geographically where you could actually be and not have issues just based on your race or your birthday suit. So all that to say, I wrote that book about, you know, my experiences in real estate, and 21 years later, I could write 1,000 books at this time to just tell you about the different people that I've been able to live work around and work for and represent and help out. So I brought that as an offering to anybody who wanted it, right? Anybody in my field, my colleagues, to maybe put something down about their experience that would live on forever, right? That would possibly, when they aren't doing so well in the business or decide to leave the business, they would have left the keepsake, so to speak, or they would have left some information for somebody coming behind them as an offering. And when you create things to make an offering, you can get paid for them. You can make a few dollars for them, right? And that would offset wherever you are, or just be that little extra that you could get, or you could make, or you could earn because you were willing to give your experiences written down in the pages of a book, which a lot of people like still today like to pick up and read, right? So I put that book in Kindle form where you could go right online and read the book, or you could buy it from Amazon and wherever else I decide. You can buy it directly from me, right? So with that being said, I moved forward, right? These are my offerings to my fellow men, to my fellow realtors, to the kids of my friends and family and neighbors and students, my coworkers and so on and so forth. I put together a webinar. I'm a business owner. I was able to create a business with my family, and I went through all the hoops, the 12 steps in the business, and I put down what was it? It was like this. I put together a webinar that was coaching and mentoring and advising and suggesting that you, whoever is watching, if you own a business or you would like to own a business, you're a realtor, or you're someone who is in sales, or you're someone doing some independent kind of work as a contractor or just an independent person, you have a set of skills that you could offer to companies, which is where we are in 2026, the time that I'm making this. You could offer to companies because that's the way in the direction that companies are going in. We're competing against AI. Companies are laying workers off by the thousands, tens of thousands. Hey, Google just laid 10,000 people off, right? And Yahoo and so on and so forth. These companies are breaking their workforces down, slimming them down. And those skill sets that you develop while you worked for them, or you would bust your butt just to go through school in order to acquire these skills, now can be sellable, right? Because a company, instead of hiring you in, paying your insurance, paying you some kind of 401k and all of that, having you deal with all of that, having to have a safe environment for you to park your car and come in and have an HR department and so on and so forth, many companies phased all of that stuff out, along with the executives as well, right? The managers and all of those people, they phased those guys out too. And if you had a set of skills that is valuable to a company, they would pay you for the job, right? Like a contractor. I said, get in front of your camera, represent yourself, be the face of your brand, right? That way you could reach the people who are just scrolling like you may be doing right now. Somebody who may go to YouTube to get some information, to learn how to do something, to just check the pulse of what's going on. All of us are online. You could find us online today, right? You used to go to the restroom with just yourself. Now you go to the restroom and you're scrolling the entire time, right? You used to could drive a car. How many people are on the freeway or just driving through traffic daily and they're on the phone when they shouldn't be? See a lot of accidents. A lot of people lose more than just a limb scrolling. So you know where everybody is at. Why not get in front of your camera? Why not represent your brand? Why not be the voice, the narrative for yourself and the skills that you can utilize in order to earn a living so you could just survive in today's workforce? It is just the way things have turned out to be. Like I said, every other scroll is an AI. You don't know if it's real or if it's not. Did Trump say what I think he said? Was that really him? Right? Was that really that your favorite artist? Was that really, you don't know now because they've gotten so good at it in terms of making this content creation that fools most of us, especially if we're older. It just fools us. We don't know, right? And we're younger. We don't know, right? So even with that, you get behind or get comfortable in front of your camera, come from behind the camera. I created a webinar that told you exactly to do that, right? And a lot of people paid attention. A lot of people paid attention. And then I'm scrolling, watching those people who paid attention, who are directly, commenting, liking, and just engaged with the stuff that I put out. I could see them moving. I could see forward motion, which I'm so proud of. I could see these guys actually moving towards being in front of their cameras, getting past their walls and their obstacles, which is a beautiful thing. And so I put out a episode of Ruck's Place almost every week. It is every week, every Friday. You can count on it. Sometimes I get in there a little late, but it's guaranteed. You can set your watch to it. You know it on Friday. You can watch it Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You can go to it. And a lot of you around the world are listening now, which is great. I'm just giving you my offering. I'm just giving you the best that I got to encourage you guys to stand up and be who it is that you want to be, right? And it seems to be working finally, which is a beautiful thing. You can buy my book. You can watch my YouTube videos. You can watch my social media pages, and you can see when I started my podcast back in 2020, January, exactly, right before the COVID-19 actually took effect. I was out there doing my thing, man. I was out there. I got past my walls. I got in front of a microphone and I started encouraging my friends. I started encouraging my coworkers. I started encouraging my family, my children, my wife. And we have now all taken steps to be out in front of the things that we can control. And we just kind of let whatever we can't control kind of fall by the wayside, or we just deal with it as we go. But the meat and potatoes of your life should be represented by you. And what you have to offer should be spoken, should be seen, your face, your voice by you. When people can see you, then they can contract you. They can reach you. They can feel like they can know, like, and trust you. And if people can know, like, and trust you, then your phone will definitely ring. If you have something of value that they can use. They may not need it today. They may not need it tomorrow, a month from now. But at some point in time, they need it, right? And they call you because you consistently have grown. You built this resistance towards that thing that was pulling you away from earning your keep in life, like that job that decided, here's an email for 30,000 employees. You all, this is your last day today. We could turn off the lights tomorrow. We don't have to pay the light bill for them. We could turn off the computers. We don't have to pay for the computers anymore. We don't need an IT. We don't need a HR department. We don't need a financial planning department. We don't need anything. We don't need a facility. We don't need four walls to have these guys come and stand between. We don't need the water cooler. None of that. We don't need that anymore, right? We'll put the robots out there, right? And that's happening. It is just a fact of life is happening, right? So I decided to use my life, use my platform that I've been building because I got in front of my camera to help and support so many of you guys, even if it's just a spoken word, even if it's just a community that you could join. Ruck's Place community, I created that too. So you guys could come and just hear somebody else speak about what they did and what they're doing today in order to change their tomorrows, right? So can you. You could do the same thing. It just takes a little courage. It takes taking a little risk. It takes being outside of the margins, like I spoke to. And in closing, we all have something to give, right? Even if you come and give the worst presentation or you give the worst, you make the worst videos, your content just sucks. It's okay because someone in the crowd, someone in the scroll is going to resonate with what you have to offer. And just knowing that one person can be changed as you changed yourself is worth it. It is so worth it, guys. So proud that I could come here and do this. God bless you all, and thank you for supporting my efforts and my offerings in this wonderful platform that not only I have experienced and share in and just have participated in helping whomever wants to watch, whomever wants to take notes, whomever wants to listen. I'm going to be here. We're going to be here giving you the best that we can, hopefully for a long time into the future. All right, Chuck Rucker, Ruck's Place. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me. God bless. Peace.